Last May, the governor signed legislation and we passed funding for the Iowa Juvenile Home. Then in November, after being in charge of the home for almost 3 years, he suddenly announced its shutdown. Today, you're going to be hearing the rest of the story, as Paul Harvey used to say. It starts officially at 4 p.m. in room 116. Come meet former residents and staffers of the Iowa Juvenile Home to hear about how their lives were. These children arrived in Toledo after many failings and many private placement failings. These girls were failed because their families failed them, their schools failed them, their communities failed them. That's why they were in Toledo. Now, by attempting to dismantle a key part of the Iowa mental health system, the state of Iowa fails them. You need to hear what it's meant to these kids to have trained, experienced, professional staffers who care for them. And in fact, you'll hear today that many of these former students will call these staffers family. Family at the Toledo home who, unlike everyone else in their lives, kicked them out, failed them. These folks wouldn't give up on them, though, and they won't let them fail again. Let's get to the bottom of this, though. The state of Iowa removed these kids from their parents' home because their parents failed them. They weren't in stable placements. They weren't in stable homes. The kids were moved from placement to placement, school to school, failing over and over. Before they age out of the child welfare system, the Iowa Juvenile Home gave them a place to be, a chance for a home. And this was a home that wasn't going to throw them out. And they'll talk to you about that as well, except for now, except for what the governor did. At Toledo, they had a safe and stable environment where they learned their skills that they need to become successful Iowa adults. And that's, I think, what we all want. They'll become effective parents. You'll hear from one lady today who attributes her family, who now has, I think, 8 kids, to what she learned from some of the staff in this home of how to be a good parent, how to take care of your kids. It was important to her. We have a lot of folks that have come out of this, and you'll hear from some of these former students who are now good citizens, have jobs, and are being productive. Are these young ladies abandoned at the juvenile home now that it's closed? Are they in a better situation, these 46 or so kids that were thrown out throughout the state of Iowa? No, they're not. Some have been returned to some of the placements where they were rejected multiple times, 5 to 10 in some cases. Some were sent home. Almost half the kids are not even in placements they should be in. That's a disservice. Some of them are in homeless shelters. Some of them have reoffended into delinquent acts because of what's happened over the last couple of months. So we need to get back to helping these young ladies be good Iowa citizens. Helping these particular Iowans in need and those who will be in need of the Iowa Juvenile Home in the future is a bipartisan issue. No one in this room got to help make the decision. It was made by one person. I'm working closely with Republican House member Dean Fisher, and about 1 o'clock today, members from the Save the Iowa Juvenile Home group will be here to speak to all of you, along with some former students. And I ask my colleagues in the Senate, even though this is not particularly your area, some of these kids came from your areas because they come from all over the state, is that you take a little time if they call you out and hear their side of the story. Hear what maybe you haven't heard yet, maybe what you read in the newspaper, maybe they can shed some light on it. But I ask you to go out, speak to them a little bit. They're going to be here from 1 to 4, and then obviously at the room 116 for the Health and Human Services Committee. Madam President, thank you.